All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time to spin the wheel and find out. See what we're playing this week. Oh. All right, then. Little gunslinger action. Well, let's find out. All right, so Call of Juarez Gunslinger. This is a game by Techland that was originally published by Ubisoft. Came out in the PS3 era. Came out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And there's one thing that we don't talk about on Steam often enough. It is the fact that they are taking the entire PS3 library and dusting it off and being like, hey, see, it's still good, and it is. It totally is. I played Dishonored first on Steam before ever playing it on the PS3, which I do have a PS3. I just got into it late in the game because I like to buy all of my consoles used. You know, I'll get a PS5 when the PS6 is out. You know, that's how I do. This is my jam. Anyway, so yeah, you know, a lot of these PS3 era games are on Steam, and they make them nice and cheap. And, you know, the companies who originally created them are like, sweet, well, you know, still making money off of games that they released, you know, a decade ago at this point. Because this game originally came out in 2013, but it still looks really good. It does. It's got really nice, solid graphics. And the funny thing about it is that you are playing this entire game. Basically, how it happens is you are this Old West gunslinger who wanders into a bar, and everyone in the bar is like, oh my god, is it that one guy? And, you know, and it is, it's you, and they're like, tell us a story. And so you do, you start telling them a story, but then you play your way through the story, which is fun. One of the interesting things about it is that as you go along, there are these little horseshoes that you collect. That are secrets that you unlock. They're called nuggets of truth, and when you're in the game menu, you can look at the nuggets of truth that you collected, which is, you know, very similar to a lot of games that have, you know, trading cards and the like that you collect, and you get those, and then you can look at the actual historical facts and the people behind the gameplay that you are enjoying. And so, you know, the first little bit, you are running with Billy the Kid, and, you know, it is really kind of interesting. And then, you know, if you collect the horseshoes, then it'll tell you actual historical facts about Billy the Kid, which is awesome. So yeah, anyway, the gameplay is really interesting because while it is an Old West shooter and a first-person style shooter, it's also really interesting because it includes bullet time. You know, you have this gun that fills up at the top of the screen, and as the gun fills up, it fills up as you kill enemies. And as you kill enemies, then you gain the ability to do some bullet time, which when you hit bullet time, all of the enemies turn red, and you move more slowly for a second or two, and away you go. Now, the other fun thing about this is very similar to Borderlands. You have a leveling system, which, you know, adds an RPG-ish element to the game, but it's not the same looter-shooter variety as Borderlands. I mean, yes, there are guns to pick up, but it is not as driven by the looting aspect as Borderlands is. You know, it's more about upping your skill. Yeah, there are some guns that you can pick up that are going to be rare and whatnot, you know, pearl-handled things, and, you know, that will they have an impact on your shooting? Yes, certainly. But also, it is mainly about you upgrading your skill as a player, and upgrading the skill of your character as you go along, and that's where the leveling comes into play. So, yeah, the more people you kill, then the better off you are. But here's the fun thing, is that if you die, which will happen, and did happen to me a couple of times as I was getting the gameplay footage, yeah, you're gonna die a couple times if you choose to do stupid things, if you advance too far out of your cover too quickly, if you're bad at the showdowns, because they also have showdowns, you know. Every level is going to have at least one showdown in which you know, step out into the open and you're staring down your opponent, and you know, and then it's quick draw time to see who's the fastest gun and who can shoot whom. And as I was getting this gameplay footage, you know, I had done the first showdown in the first level. You're seeing me play the second level, the first level that's not tutorial. But you know, the levels are reasonably long, and so by the time I was done with the tutorial, I felt like, okay, I've got a decent grasp on what this game is. I mean, I'm still not great at it. I can get a whole lot better at every aspect of it. Part of it is I need to adjust my mouse settings to get them exactly right. They're a little too slippery for what I normally like, but because I was playing this for a review and this is not going to be the next game I play, not because I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it quite a bit, actually, but because I have other plans for what I'm going to play next, so I didn't want to go messing around with my mouse settings when it's not needed in other games I want to play. So yeah, that's just a thing to bear in mind, that like could have been a little better. My gameplay could have been a little better if I had adjusted to meet the demands of the game, but I didn't, and I just, you know, ran with what it was. So I could at least partially excuse my bad gameplay, but I take full responsibility for how many times I died while collecting this gameplay footage. Anyway, be that as it may, this is a really fun game in which, you know, kind of Princess Bride fashion, you are getting the narration as everything is happening. Actually, it reminds me of Bastion, which is a great RPG that, you know, also came out on the PS3. And yeah, it was awesome and groundbreaking because, you know, having the narrator narrate what you're doing as you're doing it is great. Actually, for Bastion, the narrator is narrating it as you're doing it. For Call of Juarez Gunslinger, it is narrating the action as you are supposed to be doing it. And so, you know, there's a part where it says, oh, and about this time, it became clear that it was going to be best to cut and run. And, and so at the time, I was still shooting guys out of the window, and I figured, well, I'll finish shooting these guys. And the game got impatient with me and was like, no, it's time to cut and run. And so Yeah, so the narrator is like, I said it was at that time I realized I had to cut and run, and it's just funny that the narrator gets a little impatient with you if you don't do what he says you're supposed to do at the time. Which is fun because sometimes you need to go off the beaten path to collect secrets and whatnot. And so he might get impatient with you as you're, doing video game things when he is Old West, gravelly voiced Old West hero, and you're off, video gaming, collecting horseshoes so you can learn true facts about, what was going on in Cochise County back in the day, which is an actual county right here in Arizona. And I've been there many times. So just fun things. And as someone who lives in Arizona, and so I know what these areas actually look like they've done a really, really nice job making this, because Techland, here's the funny thing about them. They are a Polish video game company. They are not American. And so they created this game with a ton of Old West feel, and their sense of the geography and everything is pretty spot on. But yeah, they've done this in spite of the fact that they are not from here. So that's just interesting. I find it kind of cool that, a Polish development team made this game. And who knows, I don't know, maybe their headquarters are in Poland and they had someone here in America do the actual developing of this. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I do find that part of it really interesting. Anyway, so yeah, there's a really solid story to this game. There's really nice character development where you get to choose the styles of fighting that you want to focus on that are going to help you the most, which is, that's fun. I like that. I ended up choosing some things that would help me do some range damage, and then I ended up in a portion of the game where I need to do some close-in combat, and that is not the part of my character that I had maximized at all. And so I was less adept at it as I would have been if I had chosen to develop that part of my character. But you know what? I stand by it because I think later on in the game it's going to be more important for me to pick off guys at a distance. And indeed, it was more important as I was making my way out to the edge of town where I needed to, get a horse and just leave, make my escape, as it were. Anyway, so yeah, it's a really interesting game, really great environmental feel, really great story, really nice gameplay, all the things that you would want in this, because, normally when people think of, games where you can do really decent shoot type experiences in the Old West, you're thinking Red Dead Redemption. But they're not the only game in town. I mean, this came out, I don't know if it came out before the first Red Dead Redemption game, but certainly before the second one, which everyone went, just crazy for. And so, yeah, here's a game doing a lot of the things that made people like that series. And yet, it existed well before, existed in the PS3 era, and also, more than that, is available on Steam pretty darn cheap when it goes on sale, which I would say is an excellent thing, because I have always said, that a good game is a good game regardless of when you get around to playing it. So a good game from the PS3 era is a good game. Good game from the PS2 era is a good game. From the PS1 era is bad because we hate that. No, I'm just kidding. I love PS1. I love that console very much. Some very formative gaming experiences on the PS1. And so it doesn't matter that whatever the graphics are like, whatever the experience is like, if the gameplay is good and the game is engaging, it's going to be fun to play no matter when it came out. And that's why I'm glad that we are, sort of preserving these types of games by making them available. I feel like Steam they do a good job of making it seem really exciting that we've got this game on Steam, and it's like, yeah, I know, it came out 10 years ago. They do promote these older games, and they're like, haha, you should play Call of Juarez Gunslinger, and it's like, should I really, Steam? Is that what I should do? Turns out, yes, absolutely. Now, do I have any gripes about this game? Yeah, a couple. The main gripe is that, this is the era when real-time events were becoming a thing, because games like Uncharted, which are very beloved, but they came out in the PS3 era. At least 3 of those games came out in the PS3 era. And they, in addition to being really awesome and atmospheric and super fun to play and explore and move your way around in a beautiful world, they also included real-time events where it's like, okay, push the A button now, and that's just kind of a pain in the butt. Gamers never liked those things as much as developers did, and so it shows here. The whole you can dodge the bullet if you press this button or that button at the exact right time, and it's like, at that point I'd almost rather get hit by the bullet. I don't want to do quick time events, and I can't even explain why. I can't even tell you why it is that gamers are not fans of the quick time events, but we're not in general. I don't know, it's not just me, it's a lot of us. Anyway, but yeah, that's one gripe that I had with it. The other gripe is that it's not the objective finding system. You can press the O button and it'll tell you what your objective is and give you a general direction. I don't know. There were a couple times where I was like, is that really how do I, okay. It was a little less clear than I would have liked, and I'm not sure what I would want to see in order to see that fixed properly, but also this game is not getting fixed, so it is what it is. It's 10 years old. It is developed. It's no longer in development. It is done. And so, any of my thoughts about, well, it should have done this instead, well, too bad. You're never getting that. So, yeah. That's kind of the fun of, playing PS3 era games on Steam and having them be like, ooh, look, it's a AAA title. And you're like, yeah, it's an older one, but I'll play it. I don't care. Anyway, Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Let me put a final score on it because I feel like I'm doing an awful lot of rambling, more than usual. Okay, so Call of Juarez Gunslinger. I am giving this an 8 out of a possible 10 gunslingers from Outlaw for the Atari 2600. Look at those gunslingers. They look so cowboyish. You can hardly tell the difference between them and the slightly more realistic footage from Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Outlaw's still pretty fun, not gonna lie. Good games are good games. Doesn't matter when they come out. Doesn't matter how old they are. If it's good forever. Anyway, yeah, this one's good. It's really fun. If you like Old West and you like shooty shoot, which a lot of people do, then there you go. Play this game and get narrated your way through some Old West awesomeness and, shoot a whole bunch of bad guys. Like a whole bunch. Like you're never not shooting so many bad guys. So yeah, this is a good time. That is going to do it for this one, people. Oh, here's a thing before I close this out completely. Just know this, I did make some improvements to my recording setup. So what you should hear now is that I finally have a pop filter again. So my percussive P's are not protruding into the possible percussive portrayals of pulchritudinous persnickety parsnips. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, I've got a pop filter on my setup again. Hopefully those P's did not explode too badly in your eardrums. But yeah, I'm doing things to try and improve the sound. Also, we're only a couple of weeks away from us moving into a new house. There will be a disruption of service when I move. I'm not... Well, you know what? Maybe if I'm a good boy and I get games banked up, I get video reviews banked up, maybe we can make it. We'll see. We shall see. Anyway, people, in the meantime, Call of Juarez Gunslinger is super fun, and I recommend it. Okay. Bye.